This game right here is a piece of tabletop history. It's the game that vanished, exploded in price, built one of the strongest fan communities I've ever seen, and now it's back bigger than ever. This is Heroscape, Age of Annihilation from Renegade Games. Today I'm taking a deep dive into what makes this game so special. We're going to unbox this massive set, take a closer look at the miniatures, terrain, cards, and everything inside, and I'll give you a full review of whether this game is worth adding to your collection. And this is just the start of a much bigger video. We'll also cover exactly how to play, then show you how to customize and upgrade your set with magnets and modular walls to make it a universal terrain system. If you're a gamer, painter, or hobbyist who loves building epic maps and tactical battles, buckle up. You're going to want to see what this game has to offer. Heroscape first launched in 2004, and it didn't just enter the board game scene, it changed it. Back then, most tabletop games had flat boards or simple paper maps. Heroscape broke that mold by giving players 3D terrain you could build yourself. The game even came with dozens of interlocking hex tiles that click together like Lego pieces, allowing players to create towering cliffs, narrow choke points, and sprawling battlefields. It became a phenomenon. Players of all ages were drawn. It became a phenomenon. Players of all ages were drawn in not just for the gameplay, but for the creativity. The combination of simple rules and endless customization meant that families could play after dinner, but more serious gamers could also spend an entire weekend building competitive maps and drafted armies. Over time, the fan community took Heroscape to a whole nother level. They created custom maps, designed their own character cards, ran national tournaments, and even maintained websites dedicated to keeping the game alive. When Hasbro discontinued it in 2010, Heroscape became one of the most sought-after tabletop sets on the second-hand market. People were paying hundreds of dollars just to get pieces of it. This game was a holy grail item for years. It has a legendary status that made gamers say, "Oh, I wish I bought that back then." And now, Age of Annihilation is here, bringing the system back with updated sculpts, new factions, and modern production values. This isn't just a crash grab, it's a love letter to the original and a chance for a new generation to experience it. So let's break down. This isn't your typical board game box. It's heavy, it feels like a toolbox, and when you crack it open, you immediately see why Heroscape has a reputation for being more than just a game. It's an entire system. Inside, everything has its place. The miniatures are individually set. Inside, everything has its place. The miniatures are individually put in there, the tiles are neatly stacked, and there's a sense of weight and presence to it all. This is not a game you'll play once and shove it in a closet. This is a kit you'll come back to for years. Let's start with the miniatures. There are over 70 figures in this set, spread across multiple factions, and what makes Heroscape unique is the range of style. This isn't just a fantasy game or a sci-fi game, it's both. You might have a squad of cybernetic soldiers fighting against undead creatures, or a dragon squaring off against a polar bear with a rival. Who knows? The sculpt quality is impressive. These miniatures are unpainted, which for some people is a downside, but for hobbyists, that's a dream. The blank slate means you can paint them however you want. You can match the official art, go wild with custom schemes, or use them in entirely different games. The scale is about 28mm, which makes it compatible for other tabletop systems like D&E, Pathfinder, and Guild Team. And the variety in this set is incredible. Each faction has its own theme and personality, and even the stance of the minis are dramatic. They look like they're mid-action, which makes the table feel alive when you play. One thing I love about Heroscape minis is that they're designed for gameplay first. They're durable, easy to handle, and they don't have fragile parts you find on some other wargame minis. That makes them perfect for families with young players. Here's a fun idea. If you paint your minis, consider using washes and dry brush techniques to bring out all the sculpt detail. Even a quick paint job will make these figures pop on the battlefield. This right here is the magic of Heroscape. The interlocking hex tiles are what make this game legendary. Each piece clicks together tightly. They're textured to look like grass, rocks, snow, water, lava, and you can stack them to create 3D battlefields. This isn't just a board, this is a playground for tactical gaming. There are single, double, triple, and even large frame pieces. The plastic is thick and durable, and because they're modular, you can design any kind of map balanced tournament setups or wild story-driven landscape with castle, cliffs, and choke points. Map building is part of the game. It's almost like 2 games in one. First you design the battlefield, and then you fight on it. And here's where I want to get your opinion. If you had this set, would you use official maps from the rulebook or design your own? Personally, I love creating unique layouts, but I know a lot of players enjoy the balanced tournament maps. Drop your thoughts below. Each figure or squad comes with a card that has everything you need to know. Movement, speed, attack dice, defense dice, range, life, and their special powers. It's all right there, color-coded and easy to read. This design is part of why Heroscape is accessible. You don't need to memorize complicated rulebooks because everything is on its card. The accessories are equally well thought out. The dice are chunky, custom D6s, with clear symbols for skulls and shields. Glyphs are objectives markers that add strategy. Wound markers track damage, and initiative markers keep gameplay fast and fair. These components are durable, which is great because this game is built for years of play. I know players who still have the original Heroscape tiles and dice from nearly 20 years ago. The rulebook is fantastic. It's fully illustrated, split into basic games for new players and a master game for more in-depth. The diagrams are clear, and it even has scenarios for story-driven campaigns. You could teach a complete beginner in 10 minutes. Then dive into advanced rules without needing a separate guide. So let's talk impressions. This is more than just a board game. You're getting a modular terrain kit, a miniature collection, and a scrimmage game all in one. I've bought a lot of tabletop games, and very few offer this level of replayability out of the box. The terrain alone is worth it if you play other games. The minis can be used in RPGs, and the rules hit that perfect sweet spot of being easy to learn, but deep enough for strategy lovers. It's not a cheap game, but if you love customization and tactical play, this box gives you years of content, even if you play occasionally. Heroscape is the kind of game that turns heads when people see it on the table. It's a showpiece. The best way to describe Heroscape is a platform. This isn't something you play once and forget. It's a system you build, expand, and make your own over time. All right, now that we've covered what's in the box to learning exactly how to play, grab your dice and cards. We're going to go step by step through the setup and gameplay. So you ready to hit the table? All right, now that you've seen what's in this massive box, let's actually talk about how to play Heroscape, Age Annihilation. One of the things that makes this game so incredible is that it looks intimidating. But once you understand the flow, it's actually really easy to learn. The designers made it simple enough for kids to play, but layered enough for competitive adults. So I'm going to walk you through setup, drafting your army, turn structure, movement, attacking, and little details that make Heroscape feel so tactical and satisfying. Even if you've never played a miniature scrimmage game, by the end of this section, you'll feel confident enough to teach someone. Let's start with one of the coolest parts of Heroscape, the battlefield build. This is where you and your friends get creative. Every game starts with a map. You can follow one of the official scenarios in the rulebook, which gives you exact layouts, starting zones, and glyph placement. Or you can just build something custom and wow, that's part of the fun. The tiles interlock with a satisfying click. They're stackable. You can create hills, valleys, bridges, choke points. It's like Legos, but for tactical gamers. Some groups spend an entire evening just designing the perfect map before they even play. If you're new, I'd recommend starting with a smaller map, maybe something that fits on a coffee table with a few elevated areas. Once you're comfortable, scale it up. You can make massive boards that take hours to play, or tiny scrimmage maps, 20-minute games, 30-minute games. And honestly, this is where Heroscape hooks a lot of people. When you set this up on the table, it looks like a miniature war game without the huge price tag or the 4-hour rule explanation. Here's a question for you. If you were building a custom map, would you go for something fun, competitive, wild, story-driven, with crazy terrain features? Let me know in the comments, because I love seeing what other people come up with. Once your battlefield is ready, it's time to draft your army. This is where Heroscape gets strategic right away. Each figure or squad has a point value printed on its card. Players agree on a total of 500 points as standard, and then take turns picking heroes and squads until they hit their limit. You can draft all kinds of combinations. Some players love stacking squads and flooding the board with troops. Others like running a few powerful heroes. The point system balances everything out. So if your army looks different than your opponent, it's still fine. The army cards are beautifully laid out. You've got move, range, attack, defense, life, and special powers clearly listed. You also have whether a figure is a unique hero, a common squad, or something else, which impacts how you field them. And because there's so much variety, army drafting feels like deck building in a trading card game, but you're just finding the synergy and combos while staying within your power point cap. And here's some advice. If you're brand new, just pick what looks cool. Seriously, this game is designed so that even a random army can hold its own. But if you like strategy, you'll quickly see how certain units work together. Maybe you draft a hero with a Aurora ability that boosts nearby allies, then surround them with ranged squads, or maybe you stack fast melee squads to rush objectives. The point system means you're never completely outmatched, and if you want a real challenge, try drafting blind or swapping armies with your opponent. It's a great way to learn the game from different perspectives. So let me ask you this. What's your style? Do you like the idea of running a swarm army with tons of units? Or are you more into a few powerful heroes that dominate the map? Drop your answer below. This is one of Heroscape's best mechanics. At the start of every round, both players secretly assign number order markers 1, 2, and 3 to the cards of the units they want to activate. You also place an X marker as a bluff. This adds a layer of planning and psychology to the game. Your opponent doesn't know which card is going to activate next, and that creates tension. Are you going to charge with your melee squad, or are you holding them back as bait? This simple step makes the game feel more like chess with dice. You're always thinking ahead. Once both players have placed their markers, you reveal them one at a time in order. This keeps both players engaged because you're constantly reacting and adjusting. At the start of each round, you roll a 20-sided dice for initiative. The player with the highest roll goes first. It's quick, it's simple, and it means every round feels fresh. You can't just plan 10 moves ahead, you've got to adapt to your roll. Here's the core of the game. Let's walk through a full turn. I'll show you movement, combat, and how the dice system works. When it's your turn, reveal your lowest numbered marker and activate that card. First, you move your figure. The number of spaces you can move is on the card. If you're moving uphill, every level you climb counts as additional movement space. Moving down doesn't cost you extra, you just drop down. Line of sight is literal. If your figure can see the target's base, you can shoot it. Next, you attack. Choose a target in range and roll attack dice equal to your unit's attack stat. Your opponent rolls defense dice equal to their defense stat. Every skull that isn't blocked by a shield deals 1 wound. Heroes take wound markers. Squad figures are removed immediately. Dice are chunky, and there's nothing like seeing a pile of skulls or shields hit the table. Combat is simple, but tense. Height advantage is huge. If you're attacking from a higher space than your opponent, you roll an extra attack die. This makes map design incredibly strategic. And this is why Heroscape feels so alive. The map isn't just a background, it's a tactical playground. Every hill, every choke point, every glyph matter. Speaking of glyphs, let's talk about those. Glyphs are special hexes placed on the battlefield that grant bonuses like extra dice, movement bonuses, or even healing. They create hot zones on the map and encourage players to fight over control. This makes every match dynamic. Even if you play on the same map where glyphs are placed, changes the flow of the game. It's like a capture the flag mix of tactical combat. This makes every match dynamic. If you play on the same map where glyphs are placed, changes the flow of the game. It's like capture the flag mixed with tactical combat. Once both players have revealed all their order markers, the round ends. You roll for initiative again, and you start the next round. The game continues until one player wipes out their opponent's army or achieves the scenario's victory condition. Rounds move quickly, especially once you know your army. A typical game takes 45 to 90 minutes, depending on the map size. The rulebook has two modes, Basic and Master. The Basic game is perfect for teaching kids or introducing non-gamers. It strips out special powers and keeps things simple. Once you're ready, switching to the Master game, that's where all the fun abilities, glyphs, and tactical depth come in. It's easy to learn, but there's a lot to master. So what do you think? Would you prefer to start simple with the basic game, or would you jump right into the full Master rules? Tell me in the comments. I love seeing how different players approach this system. Alright, so you've seen what's in the box, and you've learned how to play. Alright, so you've seen what's in the box, and you've learned how to play. Now let's take Heroscape to the next level. This section is all about customization, magnetizing your tiles and terrain so you can create rock-solid boards. This section is all about customization, magnetizing your tiles and terrain so you can create rock-solid boards, swapping setup faster, and even use this terrain system for other tabletop games like Kill Team, Frosthaven, and Dungeons & Dragons. I'll show you step-by-step how to do it, what materials you need, and give you some ideas to make your battlefield look amazing. If you're a hobbyist, this is where the game really starts to feel like a long-term investment. And if you're not into modding yet, I think this might inspire you to start. So first, let's talk about why you'd want to customize Heroscape in the first place. Out of the box, the tiles are great. They click together nicely, and you can make stable boards. But if you ever had a game night where someone bumps the table and the map shifts, you know how annoying it can be. Magnetizing your tiles solves that problem. Once you do this mod, you can pick up an entire map section and move it around without pieces falling apart. It makes setup faster, gameplay smoother, and honestly, it just feels better. And here's the thing, this game isn't just a board game, it's the terrain system. Once you magnetize it, you can use these tiles for so many other tabletop games. Want to play Kill Team on a custom sci-fi map? Done. Want to run a Frosthaven or Dungeons & Dragons campaign with fully 3D terrain? Easy. This mod basically turns Heroscape into a universal terrain toolkit. For gamers who like versatility, this is one of the best upgrades you can make. It's like turning a great car into a high-performance machine. It's already fun, but now it's incredible. What game would you use this terrain on besides Heroscape? Let me know. I might feature some of your answers in the future video. Let's start with the materials. Here's what you'll need to magnetize your Heroscape tiles. Magnets, 3mm by 1mm or 4mm by 1mm. They work pretty good. Some flat washers, some sheet metal, real thin metal you can just glue to the bottom of the terrain hexes. Optionally, magnet sheet strips, great for large bases if you want to mount your maps permanently. A drill or hand punch if you want to recess magnets into terrain for a flush fit. You can get all this stuff from Amazon, your local hardware store, for under $30. That's less than a piece of single terrain set for most other games. I'd recommend buying in bulk because once you start magnetizing, you'll probably want to mod all your pieces, and trust me, this becomes addictive. Start by flipping your tiles upside down. You'll see they have small plastic support ridges underneath. That's where you'll attach the washers. You dab of super glue, press the washer in place, and that's it. The washer becomes the anchor point for the magnets later. The nice thing about this method is that it doesn't change how the tiles stack. You're just adding a thin piece of metal that's invisible during gameplay. Do this to all your tiles, single hexes, doubles, and larger pieces. It can take some time, but once you're done, you're done. You don't have to redo it. Now, I won't lie, this is a weekend project, but it's worth it. I like to set up a TV show or a podcast and just work through tiles and batches. It's relaxing, and when you're done, your maps feel like professional war game tables. Now let's add magnets to terrain pieces. This is where the fun starts. Most people stop at magnetizing tiles, but adding magnets to walls, obstacles, and buildings lets you create modular setup that snap into place. Imagine being able to place a castle wall and have it lock into your board instantly. If you're comfortable with the drill, you can make small recesses so the magnets fit flush in the plastic. Otherwise, just glue them to the outside. Once everything is painted, you won't even notice them. They have little kid magnet tiles that already have magnets in them. They snap together. They work great for this setup. This step isn't required, but if you like building dramatic boards for other games, it's a game changer. You'll spend less time fixing pieces mid-game and more time actually playing. Would you go all out and magnetize everything, or would you just stick to tiles? Let me know. Some people love going over with mods. Definitely me. Or others prefer a lighter touch. Once your washers and magnets are glued and dried, start stacking your tiles. You'll immediately feel the difference. Pieces click together with satisfying snaps, and you can actually lift scenarios of the map without worrying about them falling apart. Once all the washers and magnets are glued and dried, start stacking your tiles. You'll immediately feel the difference. Pieces click together with a satisfying snap. This does not only make setup faster, it lets you design modular boards ahead of time, build a section, magnetize it, store it on a shelf, and bring it out whenever you want. This is also a great if you travel to game nights. Instead of rebuilding a map every time, you can transport larger sections already assembled. Now, if you're a painter or terrain hobbyist, you can take this a little farther. A little dry brushing, weathering. They can make these tiles look realistic, rock, stone, or grass. The raised texture on Heroscape tiles is perfect for taking paint. Even a single pass of a lighter shade will make the details pop. And if you add stacking grass or flocking to the edges, your maps will start looking more miniature dioramas. The best part is that this doesn't interfere with gameplay because the tiles are plastic and durable, and you can customize them to your heart's content without worrying about wear and tear. This step is optional, but if you love immersive games like Frosthaven or Gloomhaven, imagine your dungeon maps in full 3D. Painting adds that extra wow factor. Here's where this mod becomes a game changer. Cross-game compatibility. Once you've magnetized your tiles, you can use them for almost any tabletop system. Want to run a sci-fi scrimmage game like Kill Team? Build a futuristic city with these tiles playing D&D. Make a castle siege map or a dungeon corridor layout. Even board games like Frosthaven or Gloomhaven benefit from 3D terrain because it draws the players into the story. Instead of buying separate terrain sets for every system, you can customize Heroscape to fit them all. This makes the initial investment even more valuable. For me, this is why I got Heroscape. It's more than just a game. It's a platform when you can combine magnetization, painting, and modular design. This one box can replace hundreds of dollars of terrain and give your table a wow factor. So that's the customization side of Heroscape. If you've ever modded a game before, this is a great place to start. It's simple, affordable, and makes you... So that's the customization side of Heroscape. If you've never modded a game before, this is a great place to start. It's simple, affordable, and makes your set feel more like a premier piece of your gaming collection. The best part is none of this is permanent. You're not gluing tiles together. You're making... And if you're like me, once you start modding, you'll never stop. This is how you turn a great game into a lifelong hobby. Now I want to hear from you. If you could upgrade Heroscape any way you wanted, what would you add? Would you add magnetization? Would you paint every tile? Or would you go for the custom walls, trees, and castles? Drop your ideas in the comment. I'd love to feature some of your setups in future videos. Let's take a deep dive in another video.